Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Hello and welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can keep this or any other conversation I ignite going over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And if you're feeling charitable, you can smash the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. And smash a like on the like button because I'm so pathetic, so ugly, I need a pick-me-up. So welcome to this video. Who remembers Life on Mars? Do you remember that with John Sim? Do you remember that? And Phil Glenister? Sam Tyler and Gene Hunt? Do you remember that show? If you do, you got a treat coming to you. Did you like that show? Because they are talking about bringing it the hell back. Listen to this interview from Den of Geek. And what's really interesting about this, John Sim put this on his Instagram. Now, that is very vital and pivotal because, as the article explains, John was the one who didn't want to do any more after season 2. They wanted to do at least another 2 seasons. Now, they were looking to continue the journey. Now, this is an interesting interview I'm going to read out with the creative team because it doesn't look like they're looking to go back and do different decades. They're looking to do something very ambitious. But Sam Tyler and Gene Hunt are coming back. We know that. Let's read it and see how realistic this situation is and how big a chance have we got of actually getting Life on Mars back on the telly. Life on Mars creator wants to bring back Sam Tyler. In a new interview with Den of Geek, Life on Mars Matthew Graham talks plans for a shocking return for John Sim's Sam Tyler. I'm just so excited. This is one of my favourite things I've ever seen. We never got to tie up John, says screenwriter and producer Matthew Graham, reflecting on the premature end of BBC One's hit sci-fi police procedural, Life on Mars. In a sequel series, Ashes to Ashes, the writer-producers managed to do everything they planned for Philip Glenister's gruff, outmoded DCI Gene Hunt, but not for John Sim's DI Sam Tyler. Why? John had gone by then, Graham tells Den of Geek in a new interview. Life on Mars finished in 2007. God, that's a long time ago, isn't it? After 2 series, but the original plan, Graham says, was to continue for a third and possibly a 4th run. We had one of the biggest hits on television, he tells us. The last thing you want to do is come up with a hit show and then say, right, I'm pulling the plug on it. Star John Sim, though, asked to leave. He was obviously in every scene. He was very tired. He just had a new baby. He was away a lot from home. And he just came to us and said, look, I want to call it a day. That happened midway through filming the 2nd season, Graham remembers. So it was a bit of a last-minute thing. I do remember John saying in the behind-the-scenes stuff, it's good to leave them wanting more. And it did seem to me that he was the one who didn't want to do it anymore, which is a shame, but totally understandable. I love John, one of the great actors, gentleman, talented. And I love his master in Doctor Who. Come on, what a multi-talented actor. Anyway, to right that wrong 13 years after Life on Mars finale, Graham is currently ruminating on something else for Sam Tyler. Another journey for Sam Tyler to go on. He hasn't yet spoken to John Sim about returning for the role, but John's already posted this interview on his Instagram, so he's definitely interested, which is great, but knows that John has since talked to people about being open to coming back to do something, some kind of final iteration. So I'm hoping he still feels that. Once the idea is finalised, Graham and co-creator Ashley Ferrara plan to take Sim and Glenister out to a nice lunch somewhere and pitch it to them. Expect any return for Life on Mars to be dark, serious, as well as funny. Exactly what we want. Right, funny and fantastical, Graham promises. It will be about something that was the only reason we would ever go back to that well. If we come back to do this, if we get a chance to, he teases, I think we'll be unpacking the world building in even a bit more of a strange way. Wow! Because the concept is fabulous. Without giving too much away, he tells us, I don't think it would be something where we would go back to the 70s. I think we need to do something a little, even more surprising and more shocking. Yes, Matthew. I feel you, Matthew. This is exactly what I wanted with the project. I came up with some fan fiction, by the way. Don't you hate when you get notifications when you're reading something? Anyway, asked whether fans might expect to see Gene Hunt transported to the 1990s, Graham laughs. Whether Gene's actually gone through the 90s is going to be another matter. Interesting, because it might not even be that he has. I don't think going back into other decades is going to be the answer anymore. Wow, says Graham. I think, however, it finally cooks itself into whatever being it is. It is definitely not going to be just a knockabout and a play school. It's going to be something that's got something on its mind about where we are now. Interesting. In terms of our sexual politics, that's interesting. In terms of this polarization between snowflakes and the right, interesting. So we are going to politically weaponize stuff. Normally I'd be triggered by this, but this is Life on Mars. This is Matthew Graham, and I'm excited. And the polarization between men and women. Yes, 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 yes. And this is going to come from a man's standpoint. Is anyone actually going to let him do it? I mean, are these SJWs going to allow these Life on Mars writers? You saw what they did with the first two series. I've always said there's no way the BBC or anyone will buy this. And this is why I feel this probably won't return to the BBC. I would be very, very surprised. I think you're looking at Prime Video or Netflix. Definitely. But I was a big fan of Life on Mars, a big fan of Phil Glenister's performance, and a bigger fan of what John Sim did with Sam Tyler. Sam Tyler was a hero to me. And you know what? Keely Hawes got a lot of grief when she did Ashes to Ashes. Keely's a fabulous actor, by the way. But it was nothing to do with her. Her problem was she wasn't Sam Tyler. That's the only thing. But actually, when you gave her and the show a chance, and don't forget Glenister was involved with Gene Hunt, it was the whole world again. And it was great. And the finale, the conclusion to the Gene Hunt story at that time was beautiful and amazing. What happened to Sam Tyler, she goes, I took him to the pub, which means he had to go up to heaven. He went to the place where all good cops go to in the end. So there's always been this missing chapter, which we didn't know about, which was how did Sam end up leaving Manchester and being a policeman? Because literally he kills himself at the end of season 2 and he becomes properly dead. And this is why Gene Hunt actually had to take him to the pub, as he puts it. Now, he said very clearly there, Matthew Graham. Now, I thought we were going to get a season 3, but it looks like Matthew's going to do something very, very ambitious. Now, I was thinking maybe it'd be set in heaven, maybe it'd be set in some kind of fantastical thing, but he has talked about making it more fantastical. But it's interesting because he wants to talk about the polarization and the divide between men and women, something we see on the internet and YouTube and TV and film every day. That's interesting. Normally this wouldn't be interesting, but when someone like Matthew Graham is writing something like this, you know it's going to be something incredibly special. So I think it's just wonderful that they're planning to develop this, and hopefully it gets made and they are able to take Phil and John out for dinner and tell them what they're planning, and they say, yay, we're going to do this, because, as I say, Life on Mars is one of my most favourite things ever, and I'm desperate for it to come back. Do you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start watching them again, rewatching them, and I might even review the episodes individually. What do you think about that? One of the best shows. The concept for Life on Mars is beautiful. You know what I love about Life on Mars? It can be whatever you want it to be. If you like gritty cop dramas, right, it's great. Then it's a cop drama to you, right? But what's great about this cop drama is there's so much more weight to it because of what Sam's going through and how blunt Gene Hunt is. You won't see a character like this because no one can talk the way Gene Hunt does. I don't know if they're going to have to shallow that down a bit. We shall see. But it's very, very exciting. And the issues they want to deal with are very exciting because I think, look, because he's talking about it, isn't he? The polarization between snowflakes and the right. Interesting. Could it be that Matthew Graham is on the right? I certainly aren't. But listen, I don't care what side of I don't care if you drink Yorkshire tea. That was bloody ridiculous, wasn't it? But anyway, right, this is so exciting to me. When I heard this, when I saw what John posted on his Instagram, I knew that John's on board and this is happening. When John Simm's on board, a project is happening. So be excited. We are going to get that elusive third, maybe a fourth, and even a fifth season of Life on Mars. And I couldn't be more excited because this show was the absolute nuts. I can't wait to re-watch it. It was amazing. And I'm so pumped and excited to bring this news to you that Life on Mars will return with Sam Tyler and Gene Hunt, a.k.a. John Simm, and the wonderful, magnificent Philip Glenister. Start rewatching because we are in really exciting times. See you again soon.